What's up, everybody? Max Digital here, helping you break down tech. And in this video, I'm going to help you compare Google's Chromebook with Apple's Macbook. I'm a really big proponent of the Chromebook, and it has a lot of features that you just didn't really know about that really makes it good. Comparing it to the world famous, very reliable, up-to-date MacBook. So let's go ahead and take a look. So the one thing I'm just going to point out is that both of these are real laptops. There's people out there that kind of say that a Chromebook is not a real laptop. No, the Chromebook is a real laptop. It has a screen, it has a keyboard, and it has a trackpad. Same thing as a MacBook. So there's no real difference. You have to call these laptops because this is what a laptop basically is. The Chromebook has pretty much everything hardware-wise basic for what you need on a laptop, and then some. So it has the USB-C port for charging and for adding storage. The USB-C port is very versatile. It could turn into anything, HDMI. You can put storage, connect the headphones, all types of stuff. The Chromebook also has regular USB-A, the old school one. So you could put in the old school peripherals. You could put in an SD card. It has a headphone jack. It has Bluetooth. It has a webcam. Some models even have volume buttons. So the Chromebook has all the practical stuff that a laptop should have. And on the MacBook, if you get the newest model, all you're gonna have is USB-C. And possibly, depending on your model, you're going to have a headphone jack. That's about it. You don't have all this other stuff that people still rely on. The next thing is going to be how simple the Chromebook is. That is something that I cannot overhype because it is just awesome to have. You turn it on and you get on the web. It's pretty much a Chrome browser operating system. That's the front and center. There's no real adding on real apps in the sense of desktop apps. But for 99% of people out there, if you're not into video production or if you're not into audio production, the Chromebook will be for you. Now, the MacBook is for professionals and for regular people that want to have, like, old school desktop apps. I think for most people, if you're doing most of your stuff on your phone, then the Chromebook will be a great laptop for you. It's just very simple to use. You got your browser, you have a little section for notifications, for quick settings. You can manage everything offline and online because it has a little file system in there. Nothing too confusing, nothing crazy. It just does what most people do now with the internet doing everything for us. This is pretty much all we need. Very, very practical. Now, the MacBook can do all the things the Chromebook does, but it makes it more complicated with updates and menus and tons of options. The Chromebook doesn't have all that. It pretty much gives you what you need and really nothing more, unless you want it. You could make the Chromebook more confusing, or not confusing, but more, you could add on more stuff to it, but you really don't have to. It's just very, very simple to use. It just gets you going. Another good thing about the Chromebook is that it's very fast. And when I mean fast, it is fast, if not faster than a MacBook. You could log in within like 3 seconds and you're already, online doing your thing, browsing or doing whatever. Now, the MacBook has made strides with being super fast, but it's coming from $1,000 laptop, and it took years and years and years to get to that point. The Chromebook from day one, for over a decade, has been just almost as fast as it is now. It's fast to boot up, it's fast to sign in, it's fast to set up, it's fast to reset the computer and sell it within 3 minutes. This is something MacBooks, to me, it's a turnoff for me. You have to choose all these things to get started, set up. Everything's super tied to your Apple ID. I'm kind of paranoid that if the day that you have to sell a computer or buy a computer, you have to make sure and check all these settings to see if everything's been wiped and clean and stuff like that. And the thing is about these computers being fast, the Chromebooks, it could be a $200 Chromebook or a $1,000 Chromebook. They will both be super, super fast. And if you want to have like a million tabs open on browser mode or or having tons of Android apps and stuff, you could opt and get like 8 gigs of RAM, 12 gigs of RAM. But these Chromebooks can work on 2 or 4 gigs of RAM with no problem. And speaking of price, that's another great thing about Chromebooks. You could find a Chromebook, a really nice Chromebook with all the stuff that you need for $150, and you could spend on getting like a better screen, a bigger screen, anything like that. Anything in between $150 to $1,000. You have tons of options, and the good thing is that Chrome will work pretty much the same way on a cheap Chromebook or a super expensive flagship. For a MacBook, you need to have usually a more recent one with good specs for it to run properly. So you have a lot of options in price. Next is the type of hardware options, and this is where Chromebook really kills it on the MacBook. On the MacBook, I'm going to start with that. On the MacBook, you have a keyboard and a screen, and that's it. There's no touch screen, there's no stylus, you can't flip the screen backwards, none of that stuff. But you could do this all on a Chromebook, and you could start off at around $250. You could have detachable keyboards, you could have super quality screens, you could have you could flip them around to tablets, you could have them in tent mode and have them standing up. There's just so many possibilities of options of having or building your own Chromebook, by choosing all the, there's so many different manufacturers. Some of them even have built-in LTE connectivity. So that's an option right there. So it just kills the $1,000 laptop in the MacBook. You only have one option, and you can't do anything really with it physically. Another good thing about the Chromebook is that how it handles updates. These Chromebooks are automatically updated in the background. You don't have to manually go in there and start updating things and waiting for it to download like a Mac does. A Chromebook is when you turn it on and off, it'll automatically start downloading in the background what you need. And since it's pretty much a browser in a computer, it's going to download it when it's online in the background without you really having to deal with it. So it's very low maintenance. When it comes to the operating system itself, one thing I like about Chrome versus a Mac is that it is very consistent stock software. It doesn't matter from what manufacturer you get, a Chromebook will always feel the same on every machine, every manufacturer. And if it's old or new, if it has the newest update to it, it'll feel exactly the same. There's not crazy amounts of bloatware or anything like that. This actually is even better than an Android phone because Android has skins and all this weird stuff. You don't know what you're running. Chromebooks are they're straight from Google. They feel an exact Google product, and they all feel the same. They have the same capabilities on a low-end old MacBook, Chromebook, or a high-end new Chromebook from any manufacturer. And you can't say that about a Mac because Macs tend to run very different versions of the software every year, and sometimes you have to have a certain amount of hardware or RAM or anything to run that newest software. A browser like Chrome in the Chromebook, that one will be continually updated for a long time. Some of these Chromebooks for $150, they'll be updated for like 6, 7, 8 years. So it's pretty awesome having that consistent stock version of the operating system on every single computer that you use. You could pick up one cheap Chromebook one day, and then the next day start using a flagship expensive $1,000 Chromebook, and it'll feel exactly the same. One good thing I like about the Chromebook versus the MacBook is that they kind of feel disposable in the sense that if you lose them or break them, these things are only going to cost you $150 on the low end. So you could, if you lose it or break it or whatever, you could just buy a new one and set it up and be using, it won't interrupt your workflow. Or if you forgot your Chromebook at home and you go to somebody else's house and they have a Chromebook or whatever, you could log in and the workflow stays the same. You could even log in on a MacBook or on a Windows PC and use the Chrome browser, and it'll feel like you're on your Chromebook because that's pretty much where all your stuff lives is online in Chrome. So it's with the MacBook, I mean, if you break it or lose it, you're out, $1,000 if you bought the newest one, and you have to find it and erase it and make sure, hopefully no one will, snuck into it or hacked into it or something like that. So a Chromebook feels very safe, and if you lose it or it breaks, whatever, it doesn't matter. One good thing about Chromebooks, a big one, is battery life. And that's something that the MacBook now finally has great battery life, thanks to the M1 chip. But if you get a cheap Chromebook or a new Chromebook, an expensive Chromebook, it all has at least 8 hours of battery life. Pretty much 99% of the Chromebooks that you see, they will last a long time. And even if you have them for a couple of years, the battery still lasts a long time. Battery life is one of the most important things in a laptop, and the Chromebook does it. That's one of its first features when it came out. Since it's such a light operating system, it's not taxing the hardware, it's not taxing the battery. This is why the Chromebook lasts so many hours on cheap or expensive hardware. Now, when it comes to apps and stuff, the Mac doesn't have anything really. We're barely scratching the surface of what kind of apps you could possibly use on the MacBook, but no. Since the Chromebook, you have a touch screen, you can connect it with Bluetooth to a game controller, and it has access to the Android App Store. You could pretty much run any app on the Google Play Store, and it will run like you have it's like a whole new device. You could touch it, you could connect it, you could play games, you could download all your apps. And this is apart from web apps that are on the Chromebook as well. A MacBook, you can't interact with it with touching the screen or flipping it around into a tablet or like a gaming. You can't do anything like that. Macs aren't gaming laptops. They're mostly used for desktop only applications. And the Chromebook, you could do anything, run anything on it, have a game controller, connect a mouse to it, flip it around, do anything you want to, detach the keyboard. It's there. A lot of Android apps will definitely, if you want to play a racing game, you could hold it in your hand and move it around, anything like that. Last thing I'm going to mention is security. Now, since this is basically just a browser in a computer shell, you're not going to get any viruses. Security is top notch. I mean, Macs are pretty good, relatively speaking. They are very low risk for viruses and malware and all that stuff. It's nothing like what they have on Windows PCs, but they're still vulnerable. But Chromebooks are actually, there's nothing to corrupt. So that's one thing. You don't have to worry about anything messing up on a Chromebook. If you do happen to have some type of problem, you could just do a power wash. You could reset it, and in 2 minutes you're back up and going. Boom, everything's saved. There's nothing really holding you back, being scared of going to websites and anything like that. It's very, very, very low risk, super nice, easy, low maintenance security. So on that note, that has been my thoughts and comparison of Chromebooks versus MacBooks. Now, I know it sounded like I was bashing MacBooks, but no, they're very quality computers, but they are expensive. They don't do a lot of things that a Chromebook does. In my case, and I believe 99% of people fit in this category, it'll do exactly what you need it to do for a low price. And it's just easier to handle. Whereas if you're a video producer, or if you're into music or heavy editing of stuff and you need it for work, then by all means you have to use the MacBook. But for me, I'm very mobile. I do a lot of different stuff, but I'm not too heavy into it. The Chromebook is perfect for me. And tell me what you guys think. If you guys like Chromebooks, hate Chromebooks, tell me in the comments or hit me up. I'm all the social media applications, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram. Hit me up. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.